Time now, we talked about the customer perspective on it. Time now in this subject about marketing technology, what you need to win. We're going to talk coming up about the technology perspective, but let's talk about the business perspective. Too bad, Bernard, we didn't have an expert in studio to talk about the business perspective of marketing. Oh, hello, Liz Miller. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you guys?
Magic.
I know the wonders of television, right? Or webisodes or webavision. I don't
Welcome
know what
to
we
the
want to
show.
call it today.
Yeah. Glad to have you here.
Having
Now,
me.
you are the Senior VP of CMO Council.
Yes.
So let me, two obvious questions. What is CMO Council, for people that don't know?
Right.
And what's your role?
So the CMO Council is a global organization that represents over 7,000 senior corporate marketers. Our mandate primarily is to provide the content, the research, the fuel, so to speak, that keeps stoking that marketing fire. So how do we keep bringing relevance and new business importance to the role of the CMO? So we've been at it since 2001, when there were just a handful of CMOs out there, and we're now really pleased to say that the role has certainly grown a lot. My role within the organization, to be the SVP of marketing of a marketing-directed organization,
Yeah, right.
is a little
you practice
bit,
what you preach.
Right, it's a little bit like herding cats, but I have a lot of fun doing it. So I oversee all the programs, all of the research, and a lot of the direct engagements with our members.
Bernard, one of the reasons I'm excited to have Liz here is that the role of the CMO, and we're going to hear about this later on, as all C executives, especially the CMO, is ever changing now, and it's changing the demands. She's got her, plug for the pulse, finger on the pulse of what's going on. But you do, Liz.
Butch.
It's a role that's, okay, that was a little corny. It's a role that's changing, and she's speaking and connecting and engaging with 700 and more of those people on a daily basis. So it's great to have her here.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm so excited. I'm glad you're here, Liz, today.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Should we just dive into this?
Go ahead.
Let's go.
You know, we talked about how customers are empowered now. They're in the driver's seat, right?
Yep.
They're connecting with each other. They're connecting with organization through multiple channels. They got lots of information and insight. So how is this changing the mandate for the marketer?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a great question because marketing is at this really interesting point of evolution. We used to be, think back maybe 10 years. We used to be kind of just keepers of the brand. We used to be the folks that took advertising dollars from one column and shifted them into the other. We made sure that the logo was pretty, all of those kind of surface things. Now we're really the drivers of the business, and that's a really different spot to be in. And what's the real challenge is that while we're evolving as a role, as you so rightly pointed out, our customers are evolving. There's this really interesting / scary web snapshot of what's happening on the internet. And I think we actually have a website that shows that. That's actually a live snapshot of the data that's occurring on the web. And it's growing like every second. I was watching it the other night, and there were 800,000 stories read on Snapchat.
It's a ticker tape.
Yeah, it's a ticker of the web, and this is what we're dealing with. So as you pointed out, this is what our customers are doing, Bernard, but this is the madness that we're dealing with in this new age of big data.
I think they should add the stock prices to each one of those right there.
Right. Well, then it becomes like, how marketing is like leading the market or something. So let's not get into that.
And I've heard that there are some statistics where there's 2 billion conversations that are occurring just amongst in the U.S. Through the social channels, and we're looking at it. Looks like
absolutely.
2 billion
per
daily.
Daily, every day.
Wow. Yeah.
So imagine this as the ultimate, fog of war, so to speak. This is all the clutter that we marketers now have to see through. So we're trying to figure out how we can see through it in the perspective of a couple different ways. We're looking at how we can get the technology to see through all of this, but we're also looking at how we can grow the business and what that mandate is. So let's talk specifically about the marketing mandate for a second.
Look at you. You brought a mandate and everything.
I did. I brought a mandate. I brought a chart.
She's prepared.
Graphs and charts. Keep going.
I'm telling you, next thing we're going to go through a drive-in through Dunkin' Donuts, and my whole Massachusetts experience is going to be complete. But think back to 2007. It's the first year that we did what we call the State of Marketing Study. It's our largest study of the year that we do. In 2007, our #1 mandate for marketers was to crystallize the brand vision. Doesn't that sound fantastic? Let's look at what's happening this year.
Today.
Right, that's like a duh moment, right? This year, it's interesting because it was 52% said that their top mandate was to actually drive top line growth. 52% also said we've also got to grow and retain market share. So we've got to bring in new customers and we've got to keep the ones we have.
I don't want to go off on this tangent, but what's fascinating to me about that, Bernard, or both of you, if you're commenting on this, is that was not that long ago primarily or solely sales jobs.
Absolutely.
And marketers' jobs have changed now where you're being tasked and held responsible to drive growth.
Yep.
Right? That's a big change for marketers just since 2007.
Absolutely. And I think what's so interesting in regard to the mandates is the way we're driving that growth isn't just by crystallizing the brand message. It's by delivering a relevant brand message. Right. And it's relevance not in the language of our companies, it's relevance in the language of our customers. And I think that's where we're really seeing such a huge shift. And to answer that shift, to actually get to that, get to these new mandates, we're looking at a transformation. So when we ask every year, what is the transformation that's going to happen? What are you going to be doing? 59% of marketers said they're going to launch some type of digital marketing makeover. They're going to change their platforms in a way that's going to help them get to those primary business driving mandates. Here's the good news and the bad news. Here's what we're actually transforming. A lot of marketers, we've seen about 46% are actually going to be investing in new email platforms, right? 36% are actually going to be looking at website performance optimization. We're going to redevelop the website. We're going to invest in lead management. These all sound great on the surface, but let's really look at what those 4 things are. Email, really? If we haven't figured out how to get our email systems working, we might be in a little more trouble than we actually think we are. All of these 4 things are what I like to call the marketing comfort zone, right? It's the area where we are really comfortable in acting. So we're optimizing things that we're really comfortable doing. Email, website, our lead management. Where aren't we super comfortable yet? Data, analytics, connected multi-channel experience, omni-channel experience, exactly. Breaking down the silos.
Topics, yeah.
But Bernard, that statistic, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
nearly 3 out of every 5 people, according to Liz and CMO Council, are going to undergo a digital marketing makeover. Is that in the next year? Mm-hmm. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
That statistic sort of implies that you're going to blow it up. Majority of people.
Well, I think yes and no. I think really you have to dig down deeper. I think in terms of what they really mean by doing a makeover. Right? Are they really just getting a new, replacing a better email system versus trying to integrate that email system with your web system or your call center system or your social customer management system? So it really depends. And the issue of trying to integrate these systems is really a big challenge, right? And so it really depends on what the marketer is trying to accomplish. And I think more and more marketers realize that campaigns alone don't cut it, right? In terms of making a difference in terms of influencing customers and changing customer behavior. In fact, I saw statistics that Forrester recently published, and I think they surveyed U.S. online adults and found that majority of that responders said they don't trust any ads from companies. At best, I think less than a quarter said they trust newspaper ads, but other mediums after that, just numbers go south.
So all of our audience right now that has their finger on a budget for traditional media spend, you can get up off your chairs right now because Bernard not saying you don't spend money on traditional advertising anymore, but it is changing.
Yeah.
But it is changing.
Absolutely.
Right?
I'm not saying campaigns aren't worth it. I mean, I think campaigns do have a role.
Well, Liz is. She just wrote an article and a post about
right.
the campaigns
That's
might be
right.
dead.
Campaigns are dead. There's no pulse in
Oh.
a campaign
Well,
budget.
I think campaigns.
Thank you. I'm
hit me
done
where
for
it
the day.
hurts.
I'm good for the day.
Well, I think campaigns do have a role. I mean, it helps
Yeah.
to generate leads. It helps to hit your numbers. But when it comes to all the different factors that really influence your customers, really changing their behavior.
Right.
Yeah.
Campaigns, their role is very limited. And I think marketers really need to think about changing their mindset from campaigns to engagement.
Yeah.
And when you talk about engagement, you're not talking about just email or web or one or two channels. You need to think about engaging customers through the entire buying cycle. And a lot of customers leverage multiple channels in a typical buying cycle.
And I think, here's a great way of thinking of it. Think about how your kids or your wife or you go shopping. Do you go shopping to, Nordstrom website, Nordstrom email, Nordstrom social media? No, you go and shop at Nordstrom, right? So our customers aren't seeing us in the channels and the silos that we have built for ourselves. Marketing has done this. We have created our own silos and our own fiefdoms within our organizations, yet our customer is just doing business with us.
Right, absolutely. So Liz, you talked about what customers are planning to do and what they like to do. But I think I could see for some marketing organizations, they like to stay where they are. They're comfortable with their solutions, comfortable with the technology and what they're achieving. But what are some of the risks of not taking any action?
Well, I think that the risk today is not taking that first step at all, and I think that's where, unfortunately, a lot of organizations are. Where we've seen really savvy and smart marketers excel and really take that leap forward is not looking at that campaign mindset, like you brought up, but really starting to look at customer experience, really starting to look at the marketing ecosystem as a whole. So when you start to look at how you map and track the customer experience, suddenly you have a very new perspective on the organization. And actually, the CMO Council has been really lucky to actually partner with you, Bernard. We've been doing a lot of work together and working on some new research that'll be coming out in the next couple of months. And I've got a sneak peek of data. I know that, marketers, you guys don't have access to Twitter or anything or hashtags. There's no hashtag on this, right, Butch?
Hashtag Cost Edge.
Oh, okay. So there's a hashtag.
Customer Edge.
So I'm gonna give you guys some initial data points that no one's seen before. So there's no way to spread that.
Now you're going to tease us.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah.
Duh. So
It's usually my job.
let's
like
consider
that you're
some new
taking it over.
research that we've got going. So when we talk about how we're going to actually respond to this really fast-changing ecosystem, 26% of marketers say that the reason why they're actually looking at new technologies, looking at new platforms, and more importantly, looking at new customer experience strategies is the rapidly changing behavior of our customers. So everything we talked about before, right? We're actually listening to what our customers are saying. 16% actually are pointing to the fact that digital growth is happening so quickly that they really need to keep up. And really, here's the biggest challenge. So digital growth happening exponentially. Customers expect more personalization. About 58% of the marketers we spoke to said that their customers actually expect a one-to-one or that, I've heard you talk about this before, that person-to-person experience. Right. That over half are saying, yeah, our customers expect this now. Here's the big problem. Only 19% of marketers so far are actually believing that their back office technology systems, what actually powers those experiences, enable them as a brand to deliver on their brand promise.
So those statistics seem to imply that technology is failing marketers today. Is that what's happening?
Yes and no. I think there's part of that. I think that it's a matter of so much fragmentation, like we were talking about before. We've fragmented into campaigns and we've fragmented into those different pieces of technology. But it's not just the technology that's failing us. It's actually a combination of things. It's actually, when we asked, we said, listen, what's the problem? Is it the people? Is it the process? Or is it the platform that's failing you in the customer experience? Only 3% said that absolutely it's the technology. About 23% say that it's the people, and about 22% say that it's the platform. Here's the reality. The rest of the 50%, the majority of the audience say it's all three. It's a combination of everything that's going wrong. So when we really dig into what are the biggest roadblocks and the challenges that are, let's call them customer experience roadblocks,
sure.
Right? What are those big challenges that are happening? We're actually finding that 48% say that they just don't have a culture. that allows for the organization to rally around a customer experience or kind of that single point of truth of what the customer is expecting. You've got about 37% that are actually struggling to find processes and customer experience processes that actually track to the business. The majority of them actually track to campaigns. You've got 36% that say functional groups need to align. And I think that's why I love that you've got a segment coming up around that alignment between marketing and IT, because that's a huge issue that we're facing right now. Here's what's really interesting. About 12%, you see a big dip in kind of the biggest challenges. Because when we asked marketers what the challenges they're facing when it's specific to technology, it just kind of went all across the board. We have 12% saying marketing technology fragmentation. We've got a fragmented marketing stack. And then we've also got 12% saying that they're just not up to speed on where data and analytics skills need to be.
So, Bernard, what's fascinating to me, we're about to hear from David Robb, who's going to give us the technology side of it, but those three pillars on that screen up there, the ones that are the highest percentages, talk about a culture, a lack of faith in the processes within the organization, and also group alignment. They sort of all go together because you're going to get a good culture. This is almost like the sports analogy. Chemistry comes from winning, right? So, right? So, you know, how do you get good chemistry? You win games. Well, how do you get your groups aligned? How do you get the right processes? How do you build a culture? They all have to work together, don't they?
Yeah, absolutely. I think whenever I think about improving your organization, you got to take a look at it from three perspectives. First is process. You know, how well does your process work, and do they work? And do they work across groups and departments that needs to? And also people. You got to get the people involved. You have to make sure that people are trained, they understand what they're doing, they understand the process. And the third piece is technology. You got to have the right piece of technology that will help your organization to achieve your business goals and objectives.
All right, so Liz, you're going to be with us throughout the show.
Yeah, can't get rid
so
of
this doesn't have to be a 5-minute answer, because I know you could go on and expound for 50 if you wanted to. But
not with this great backdrop.
Again, we'll touch on this later in all seriousness. So what's ahead now? To wrap up the marketing, the business side of the marketing technology conversation, is there a comforting thought for marketers today?
No, there is. I mean, we're on our way. We are in the midst of the evolution right now. But here's the thing, you got to evolve or you're going to die. If there's something that I can tell you guys right now, it's we've got to move. So I think that customer experience leads to revenue. If there's one thing that I can share, there are multiple reports. We did a report with SAP in the Asia Pacific where we asked marketers, if you are tracking customer experience, what happened? Some saw revenue increases in excess of 5% because they actually started to revolve their marketing strategies around customer experience strategies. So the leaders leading with customer experience, the laggards staying with campaigns.
Yep.